All right, all right, all right. We're here for the third part of the garden tour. I want to get this last one out for you guys. Well, there may be a fourth part, but maybe I can cover all of it into this last part. This is my strawberry bed here, and I've interplanted in here figs. And looks like my hardy Chicago tree is coming out real nice. It's still not very warm here yet, and these trees wake up late, so it's taken them a while to finally get going. But the strawberries love this cooler weather. And they've been growing and growing and growing and putting out strawberries like mad. These are my June-bearing strawberries. This is earliglo. I've also interplanted in here another strawberry called rutger scarlet. I've talked about these strawberries in my strawberry video I did about 2 or 3 weeks ago for you guys. And boy, oh boy, are these going to be productive this year. Buckets and buckets of strawberries, guys. And really a great crop because this avoids most of the SWD here in this area. It ripens at the end of May, so pretty soon I'll have some strawberries. And then it actually goes into July, so this is going to provide me strawberries. This one bed will provide an entire family of strawberries really for an entire month or more, maybe about a month and a half. And then what you can do is get everbearing types, not like the Rutger Scarlet, but the other strawberry I have in different parts of the yard is Mara de Bois, a French strawberry that is everbearing. That's also incredibly tasty and will ripen for me in July till the end of the year, till frost, which is incredible. I do have some figs in the ground here. The Maltese Falcon here does not look good. I'm not sure if this one's going to come back. I did see a shoot down below on the JH Adriatic that is coming back. I'm trying to pile up the soil here as high as I can to provide a better microclimate for these guys, increase the metabolism of these plants. Adding in rocks and other things is really beneficial. I did talk about that with you guys in a previous video about my fig plantings that I did last weekend. In this bed here, this is probably the most interesting thing going on in my entire yard, believe it or not. I'm going to cover this topic in depth in its entirety in a separate video. We're going to get further along in the season with this and really explain what's going on in this bed and why there's so many poles. There's so many poles. I'm sure the neighbors are like, what is going on in that bed? What is he doing? But yeah, we've planted many different things in here. Particularly, we planted April 1st here, a very early variety of the sugar snap pea, Sugar Ann. And Sugar Ann, like I said, it's one of the earliest. It's already flowering now here at the end of May, actually mid-May. So we're getting a crop about 45 days later. Not as quick as I would have hoped, because now I have what I had planned to put in here, which was tomatoes. So I interplanted the tomatoes in here. You can see there's one down in there. I also have the eggplants going. And all of these tomato plants, I'm going to cover it in depth, like I said. You can see a tomato plant down here. We're going to train these up these poles as single stem plants. So every single eggplant will be trained up this pole. Another eggplant trained up the pole. And this will really maximize the space that I'm using here, even the tomatoes. I also have in this bed, these are a type of strawberry called alpine strawberries. Quite beautiful plants. I really like them. They bunch up rather than spreading like runners, like the other types of strawberries do. These guys are like a bunching strawberry, and they provide a very smaller strawberry, much smaller strawberry that actually is very tasty. It packs a huge punch. So in this bed, all in all, just to cover, we have lots of tomato plants coming in here, lots of pink brandywine, my favorite tomato as of yet. Shout out to those of you guys who love pink brandywine. Plus we have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 300 snap pea plants, and they're all really flowering now, coming into fruition for me. And we're also planting things in here that you can see are coming up here on the outside of the bed. These are melons, and the melons will also be growing up these poles. and you may be thinking, holy hell, this guy is insane. Yes, I am growing melons. You can see there's more melons over there, of all different types: cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelons themselves. In the middle we have cucumbers, and these will all be trained as single stem plants and grown up these poles. A bit labor intensive, I think, but the production in this bed is going to be insane. We're also growing corn here for the very first time. I have two different varieties. One is a later variety. I think actually it's more of a mid-season variety, and this is an earlier variety here. Forgetting the names, this is Golden Bantam, I believe. I think that's the mid-season one. Both sweet corns. And then we have the greenhouse, which you guys have seen. And everything in here is just going berserk. I mean, everything is growing so quickly. It's also very humid in there because we've been getting lots of rain and I've been keeping the door shut. But yeah, let's go to the last part of the yard I want to show you guys. On the other side of the house. I don't show this side of the house very often, I don't find. But there's a lot to talk about over here. This is all my persimmons that I have in containers. We have a bush cherry in the back, but I find that the persimmons is my second favorite fruit. Some of them are flowering now. You can see the flowers coming in on the persimmons. Very nice. Carefully selected, hardier varieties. We're also grafting some persimmons here. As you can see, that looks like it's taking. This one also looks like it's taking. We've grafted this year Sajo, Great Wall, and Tam Cam. There you go. And then we also got some new varieties of persimmons that I've ordered from a nursery. And these guys just do really well. I recommend grafting them, actually. I probably will never buy a persimmon tree again because they seem to be, at least in my mind, I know people have struggled with grafting them, but I've had a real easy time grafting them. Also, my second favorite fruit. Really love that fruit. In fact, I'm probably going to put another one of these trees. I'm not sure which one yet. I'm going to put one in the ground. This here is a bush cherry. I think this is Carmine Jewel. Really getting a nice form to it. It's going to be a taller bush cherry, but I think they're self-fertile, but they do need partners, I think, to increase the quality, increase the fruit yields, which is why I have here Romeo and Juliet. So this is probably, I don't know which one this is. Let's see. That's Romeo here, and this is Juliet. They're really taking off. This is the second year I've had them in these containers. Got them as very small plants. So this is my second spring, and they seem to be doing very well. They really like it here. They don't get very large, these trees, and that's really nice. Here's another persimmon down here. I think this is Guang Yang. And then we have on the behind that is some pears. We have lots of pear trees, many different varieties, some of which are fruiting now and have formed pears. You can see. I need to thin these guys out. We also have down in here that should be coming up. Let's see if it came up or not. I've been getting lots of rain, but what I planted in here is a thing called cucuzza. My friend Joe sent me. It's like an Italian type squash, similar to zucchini. And the plan is to have that grow up. It's a very vigorous vine that will grow up this pole and grow across this wire here. I find that poles and wires are really useful, guys. I have them all over the damn place. But yeah, so here's more of the pear trees, I guess. Really vigorous this year, doing quite well. I don't think these fruited for me because it seems like the pears that did fruit for me fruited on their tips. Whereas these, I think I pruned them in a way that their tips were gone. And yeah, so next year we need to figure out exactly how to prune these guys so that I'm not losing fruit that way. This tree needs to be staked up. But other than that, they look great. We have blackberries coming up here. These look fantastic. I did something called pinching. You can pinch the blackberries, you can see here, and now they're sending out side laterals. Last year my blackberries got to 10 feet tall. So I would like to avoid that again, and by pinching them, that kind of induces the fruit a little bit earlier, and also keeps them smaller and more well branched. So I'm going to select a certain number of canes from the base here. So far I have 3 of them. We're going to pinch this one off here. You can see that's all it is. And I'm just pinching that. Those will branch. I have 3 canes from that one. And I'm trying to propagate this particular blackberry. I should make a separate video on this topic and all about them and whatnot. But I have decided to propagate one, so I've bent over a cane here that's still growing, that's still living, and I've held it down with rocks and soil that's then rooting in the soil right here. They root very easily. And that's the goal. I wanted to keep this particular blackberry here, Primark Freedom. I find it's a very good one. Better than Triple Crown here for me because it avoids SWD. We also have a fig tree planted in a raised bed. This is a 2 feet high raised bed. And we're gonna see what the hell happens. I don't know. We've also planted in here, hope maybe it came up, maybe it didn't. I think this stuff takes a while to come up. But in here is Maypop passion flowers. You need 2 of them to come up. So one will come up on this pole here and go across, and the other one will come up on that pole and come across. An interesting fruit that's related to the, God, what fruit is that? The passion fruit. So yeah, it's related to the passion fruit, but you can actually grow it here as a perennial. Very interesting. What's nuts this year is that I have like some of these blackberry canes and raspberry canes have actually gotten out of the raised bed this year. Really sucks because it's going to be a little bit more work for me, but I guess I can dig these up and give them to friends because they're really easy to do that and propagate that way. I also should thin some of these out. These plants are extremely vigorous. This is a new variety of blackberry or raspberry that I planted last year. It's a yellow one. Really like the yellow raspberries. And then these are my 2 very productive, reliable plants here. Caroline on the left and Heritage on the right. I really like Caroline more and recommend that one. Out of all the raspberries I've tasted and grown so far, Caroline's the best. So yeah, got to figure out a way to contain these raspberries, I guess. We also have some more raspberries that I'm growing to kind of expand my horizons a little bit. What is this one here? This one is Crimson Night. This is a very dark raspberry, almost purpley, almost black. It's very red. And then we have one in here that's called, oh, this one's a yellow. I think this one's Fall Gold or Double Gold, one of the 2. So these will give me some fruits this year, and I'll get to determine if I like these more than the yellow one I had just put in, or if I like it more than Heritage, and that's what I'm trying to do, is see if I like other ones more than others. Here we have my goji. That's doing exceptionally well. I have one in the ground that I'm training up a pole here, and it's going to be a more ornamental plant that's going to look beautiful. This one also I think looks beautiful, has a nice form to it. Over here we have 2 trees. They're 2 plums. On the shadier side of the house, I have many different things going on. Everything I just mentioned is in like partial shade. So all the blackberries, raspberries, the pears, the persimmons, all that stuff deals with shade. So I've got them in like 6 to 7 hours of light. Something happened to this tree, and I don't know what it is. But my spring satin tree did not do well. It leafed out this year. It even seemed like it wanted to flower, and then kaput. A couple days ago, it just doesn't look good. I don't know what happened. But the other tree in here, Valor, which is the real winner. Valor is supposed to be a very high brix plum. This one is going to be a real winner for me. And then we've got the Illinois everbearing mulberry. This is a real winner here. In this climate, anyone in a cold climate should be growing a mulberry. We're going to do a separate video on this mulberry. I know lots of you guys have been wanting updates. It's flowering fruiting quite well. You can see here. And then down in here, the fruits are everywhere. I've pruned this thing back numerous times since I put it in the ground. This is probably its third year in the ground now, and I've pruned it maybe 5 or 6 times. Pretty hard too. This here is a daylily, not edible, but there are some that are edible. We have here bee balm that's coming up, and we also have currants, black and red. The currants are fruiting for me quite well. Very vigorous this year for me. Lots of fruit on these guys. I'll get to try. And then we've got more currants. This one's huge. I don't understand why this one is growing so much, but look at the fruit on that. Woo! That's nuts. And then we have another currant over here, really going nuts with the currants. And we also have here a persimmon that is getting quite a large size to it. This persimmon actually fell over for me. It fell straight on the ground. Just imagine it like this, but on the ground. A storm came in and somehow the thing fell over. I don't think they're very sturdy trees because they're very lanky. They have these very long branches that actually get weighed down quite heavily by fruit. And the thing fell over, and I decided to hell with that. I'm going to stake it up. So I put a stake in there, and the thing hasn't moved since. Surprisingly, I don't see many fruits on it, or flowers yet. So I don't know if this maybe flowers a bit later, or maybe they are on there. Maybe they're coming, I don't know. But I'd be pretty disappointed because I'm expecting a huge crop off this tree. It's now its third year in the ground. It's massive, it's fertilized well. All of my trees are mulched very, very heavily. You can see how much mulch this is. It's insane, actually. It's probably, most of it's actually kind of broken down at this point, but I think we're about a foot off the ground here with mulch, off the grade. And then we've got other various things that I planted in the front of the yard here, like my apple trees there. Let me just check here, I guess, see if we have any flowers forming on these guys. It doesn't look like it. Man, that is very disappointing. It flowered last year, and the flowers fell off because the tree fell over on its side. So maybe I damaged some roots in that process, and the tree's kind of making up for it now. I don't know. But a bit disappointing if this thing doesn't flower yet. But you never know. Maybe this will flower for me a bit later. This is Rosianka. This is a hybrid persimmon between an Asian and an American. So it tastes like an Asian. It's an astringent type. But it has the hardiness of the Americans. So really hardy tree, reliable here, I guess, as well. I know people that have had good success with it.